the palm-lined streets and you see the old men chatting about their grandson in America going to college. And that night you go to Patamata nightclub and everyone's dancing the night away. This is Eritrea, you know, getting used to it and saying life goes on. So I stayed there for a month, and then a year later, also in June, I moved there. And I stayed there for a year with Agence France Presse and with CNN. And by then, the propaganda machine was in full tilt. It was constantly talking about how Eritrea starts wars with all of its neighbors, that crazy president, I hear he has malaria, I hear he's now had whatever things it has, his brain not quite working, all kinds of crazy things. You constantly heard about the irrationality, and there I am talking to them, and it sure didn't look like that. So it was constantly trying to unravel all this narrative. You would get these press releases from the other side, and it would just be all kinds of crazy stories. And you would spend your day unraveling it. Again, the capital was beautiful. In the battlefields, this was really, really war now. It was unbelievable. Some people have said to me, was the war that bad? I can assure you, it was incredibly bad. The loss of life was astounding. And it doesn't even matter whose life that was, which side it was. Those are somebody's children, somebody's spouses, somebody's son, brother. It's horrible. And I always remember President Asaya, sort of to the delight of the journalists who always like something a little bit like this, saying, war is bullshit. And we all went, ooh, that's gonna be our lead, ooh. It's true. When you look out at that kind of destruction, it sure is. So I often heard while I was there shocking things about Eritrea, how unreasonable they were, and you go into the Ministry of Information or to the President's office. Imani Gebremeskel was the one who was sort of dealing with all of us journalists. You go, how can Eritrea do this? I just heard this. And he would always say very calmly, yes, well, this is why. And you'd come out going, that is so logical. I can totally understand why Eritrea does that. They are so right. So there's this whole thing of, you know, constantly hearing these stories. But when you hear the Eritrean side, it's very complex, but it's often extremely logical. One of the ones that really was sort of the most shocking at the time, Eritrea was one of 2 countries in the world not to have signed the Geneva Conventions. Oh my God, how could a country not sign the Geneva Conventions? Well, Eritrea, as far as they were concerned, during the 30-year war, the Red Cross and the Geneva Conventions did nothing for them. They had all the POWs. The Red Cross was helping to pay for Ethiopia to cover the cost of their POWs, but they did nothing for Eritrea, because if you're not a country, you're not a member of the Red Cross, and you cannot get any service. And if Ethiopia claims that there are no POWs, that's all there is to it, even if they know that's a lie. So as far as they were concerned, they weren't going to sign. This was illegitimate. However, Eritrea scrupulously held to the Geneva Conventions, scrupulously. And when the president of the Red Cross came to Asmara, he was, you know, really, Eritrea is still not signed. And I asked in a press conference, have you caught them doing anything against the Geneva Conventions? Well, no. So this is the kind of thing that you would constantly see as a journalist. And the one thing that I will say, the Eritreans could be infuriating. They would often just not tell you anything. The one thing I will say though, I never caught them in a lie. They always told the truth.